New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev BRZ and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
Hello again, dear ones. Let me get this banner out of here. Hello again, dear ones, and good morning. And welcome to Ministers Talking Shit. This is Reverend Elzia, known as Rev Z, and my cohort, Reverend BRZ, is on the road going to a men's conference this week. And so I'm here to hold it down. I trust everyone is doing well and had a great week so far as we head into this weekend. I tell you that the weather never ceases to amaze us. Here in Denver, it was 70 on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we got snow. And so it wasn't that much, but it was snow just the same. And so, it's an amazing thing the way this weather is going. Storms in the middle, storms on both coasts, and we're just we're dealing with it, but it's okay. But I think as we look around the globe today and look at things that have happened this week, I think one of the most compelling stories that we've had is the banking issues again out in California with the Silicon Valley Bank going up. And then I heard yesterday they're looking to give 3 billion or something crazy like that to the First Republic Bank to help them out. I'm beginning to get deja vu again about these bank bailouts. And it's interesting because here we go again. We're bailing out these corporations that are supposed to have fiscal policies and all those good things. And when we try to bail out our young people who have a few debts for school loans, we say no. But we're bailing out institutions that should be fiscally managed, fiscally well managed, and now we're in another situation. Markets crashed. Well, they didn't crash, but they dropped significantly after that. They came back a little bit yesterday. But here again, when we look at the spiritual principle of being responsible and understanding how to actively manage your life or your affairs, these corporations, which we've created as entities, any corporation stands as an individual when you look at it from a tax purpose or a purpose of our economy. And they're not doing the right thing. And so our young people and our seniors, those who are on fixed income, are gonna feel some of the repercussions of this. So I would love to hear some feedback on this as we try to navigate this whole idea of we can bail out everyone else, but we can't bail out our young people who are going to be the leaders and future of this country. Now I know the loan bill is, it's in Supreme Court, and we'll see. I think they were supposed to have um, decision by June or July. But it'll be interesting to see uh, how we fare on that. So that's that's a thing, and we'll come back to that a little later in the story. This whole banking crisis thing again. But for those of you who are sports inclined, and especially basketball, this is now March Madness. And so for the next couple of weeks, it will be basketball fever. So if you love basketball, you have to tune in. I mean, yes, between yesterday and today, I think in 48 hours, they're going to have like 32 games or something just totally over the top. And so if you love basketball, if you love sports, and if you love to be right in the middle of it, March Madness is the place to be. And I normally fill out a bracket, and this time I didn't because I got caught up, and I won't give you that sob story, but the brackets really help make it a lot more energetic because you're looking at your teams, and we had a couple of upsets yesterday, and didn't get a chance to watch much, but I got some of the highlights, and it's a great time for family and friends to get together and have some camaraderie, and you know just really have a good time. You can let go everything, and you don't really have to, you know, unless you put a whole lot of money on the brackets. You're not going to lose anything. It's just a great time for everyone. And so, if you're into that, I would encourage you to get busy on the games, and quite frankly, they may have a couple of brackets that you can get halfway in, you know, and so um, we'll see how it all works out. Now, another thing that's interesting this week, um, we have another NATO country sending planes to Ukraine. Now, the United States has not sent planes as of yet, but um, you know, it may be coming. They're taking a hard stand on not, but they definitely have a couple of planes, a couple of countries now that are sending fighter jets over to help with the war in Ukraine, and I think that's interesting to see how this plays out because previously there were you know fears about escalation if they got planes, because if they get planes, that really does give a whole new meaning to this war, because now they can get to Russia and drop bombs in Russia. And so, you know, what does that mean? Does the war escalate? Do some of the NATO countries get involved? Do we how long do we sit back as the United States before we send planes? Or it's a dicey kind of thing, and then you bring in the whole affair with the drone that was uh, forced down in the Ukraine. I mean, in the Black Sea, supposedly in neutral territory, and you may have seen those film clips where they dumped fuel on them twice, and then they forced it down. And United States said they got rid of any military secrets that were stored on the plane. But it's quite an event here that we see beginning to unfold when we see drones being shot down or forced down to crash, and airplanes being delivered to the Ukraine. And I'm not sure of the time, but that could be very, very telling. And we continue to send prayers to everyone that's involved in this fight, and all of the stuff that's going on over there, because it it's disturbing a little bit, at least to me, to think about, you know, what could happen. I mean, those Ukraine is so close to all those countries, Poland and Hungary, and I mean, all those NATO countries over there. Those borders are really close, and so you know, this is how some of the other world wars started. The other countries close to where it was fighting, where the fighting was, got pulled in because they wanted to protect their borders and their people. And so we continue to pray for that, that we get the grace and mercy that we need for some sense to be can say, hey, let's go to the table and talk, man. But we losing too much. This is way too much of a loss. So we'll see. We'll see. We hope that calmer heads and prevailing heads take charge and can smooth through this, you know. So now another thing, I don't know if you've been following the classified documents on for Trump and the Mar-a-Lago. Dozens of staff members at Mar-a-Lago have been subpoenaed to testify um, in regards to the documents that were at Mar-a-Lago and how the president handled it and you know Vice President Pence. I'm not sure what he's done yet, but he was being subpoenaed to testify. So we've got some interesting news stories going around, and when we look at them from a spiritual perspective, again, I think one of the cornerstones that we have to look at is we have to begin to stand on principle, right? We understand that things happen, and we sometimes focus on uh, conditions, but once we understand that we're out of sync, that we're out of balance, we have to make efforts to right the ship, to create the balance. And so when we look at this whole thing with Mar-a-Lago and Trump and his tax papers and all of this, I mean, you think about this. This has been going on for 8+ years, trying to get his taxes and verify his, his business dealings and whether he was hiding money and all these kinds of things. And he's running for president again. Now, I mean, nothing stop him from running for president, but if he's got all these criminal allegations going on, there should be something to say you need to pump the brakes until we can figure this out. You need to pump the brakes, and so um, you know it's interesting. It's interesting to see where we go with this, and the implications that it has on our fellow citizens. We don't get those type of grace moments where we can just create havoc after havoc after havoc and keep getting break after break after break. It doesn't happen, you know. And Linda says this, which is I think right on. Heart wisdom is what we need. All who are aware must listen and act from the high guidance. Listen to your heart. They used to say, what would your mama tell you to do? Would your mama be proud of you if you did that? And if not, then you need to think twice before you do it. You need to think twice before you do it, because uh, you know, I mean, if we just take the security documents alone, right? And it doesn't just go with Trump. I mean, they found some at Pence's house, they found some at Biden's house, and you would think that there would be a policy to keep track of those documents. I mean, like a library, you got to check stuff in and check stuff out. And every once in a while, I'm going to run a report to find out what books haven't been turned in. I'm going to look at your library card, so to speak, and we're going to say, oh, you have overdue books, and now there's a penalty. You got to pay a fine to get them books back in circulation. But I don't know. That's not what happens. That's not what happened for sure. And so you had several presidents uh, and former presidents and vice presidents who have security documents in their possession, and it's still not clear to me whether they were in a secure location. Well, if they're to somebody's house, I mean that's really not secure, but so it's interesting. Uh, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. And so, um, the other looming thing, we talked a bit about March Madness, and you always know if you're a March Madness fan, right after March Madness comes tax deadline, right? So now the heat is on to get them taxes in or get those extensions in, and um, you know, and we've had tax COVID stuff, but now we're kind of back on schedule, and those taxes are due. And I confess I haven't completed mine yet, but I'm hoping to do so here next week and get that done. But you know, when we look at this tax season, I don't know how we begin to, I don't know how we navigate this every year. I know for me, I every year I say I'm going to do better. I get my papers. I'm gonna get it in early, and here it is. We come into the deadline. It's such a process that I think everyone has some trepidations about. And we try to determine what's best in doing this and how to do it. And then you got people on the both right and the left. We need more taxes. We need less taxes. I don't want to pay my taxes. But to be quite honest, we need these taxes. Now, I don't know what the right amount is, right? Um, and I do believe that those who make more should pay more. Um, and but when we have all these civil services, police officers, firemen, all these, uh, all these things that our taxes go to departments of transportations in your city to make your roads travel safe. Um, these things are supported by taxes heavily, and that's how they get paid. And so, if we don't have that, um, you know, we know the old adage: you get what you pay for, right? So, if we're not willing to pay for those services, or contribute to the payment of those services to protect our families and property and ourselves, then we have another thing that we need to look at. So how do we do that? How do we continue to tax fairly? And I'll leave that to the tax experts. I'm by no means a tax expert, but when we look at these budgets continue to rise and go into trillions of dollars of debt, and um, I mean, there's a lot that we can do, right? I mean, not just tax. We can also look at spending. Taxes and budgets go hand in hand. So, but there are some things that we really need to um, begin uh, to take into consideration when we look at the way we live, and how we support ourselves and our brothers and sisters, because we are our brothers and sisters keeper, right? If I was down, I would want somebody to help me. If I'm up and I see someone's down, then I want to provide them with something. So, um, let's see how we do this year. And given given where we are financially, it's going to be a interesting year so far. I think the rest of it. I mean, we're only 3 months in. I mean, we still got part of this one and 9 to go. So we really have to start beginning to lean into the motto from a world that works for all. A world that works for all. I mean, it's we cannot just put people in boxes because they fell on hard times, or they live on the street, or they may have a mental illness, and our taxes go to this, right? We might do a show on tax week. We might do a whole show on that whole tax thing coming up in April. Um, but but we have to begin to look at how do we create a society where all of the news, I mean, other than the basketball, everything I pointed out was kind of negative, right? Or kind of put you down a little bit. I mean, and the challenge, I believe, or one of the challenges is we keep presenting these things, and we know momentum sometimes is slow to pick up, but once it picks up, we know it moves. So we're trying to push the needle on the momentum button because I heard that, I forget the state, but now they have 10 10 uh, mental hospital and deputy sheriffs under arrest and charged with murder of an inmate that they were trying to transfer. I mean, and they're saying they haven't released the videos. I don't know if they are because of the case is ongoing. But they said they had all 10 of these people were on top of this guy. And I'm looking, and in the pictures, these are big guys. I mean, these are big deputies and big. Um, I don't know if there was security or what at the mental facility, but when is this stuff going to stop? I mean, 10 against one, and I know when in moments people get adrenaline rushes, and they could be hard. One person can be very hard to handle, but 10 people, 10 to one, I and then there are things about he was on the floor with no clothes on. I mean, it was just the initial story to me was horrifying to think that uh after all that's going on since George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and I mean, and those are the early ones. I mean, you got some that just happened recently, and these things are still going on. You got this. I mean, you have to begin to ask yourself, I think, is it something with the institution that's being taught, or is this just the way human nature is right now? That our concern for life and our idea of power is such that we just take advantage of people, that we don't care about human life, that we want to be so in control that we will just treat a person any kind of way. I don't know. I mean, you know, again, if we go back to the taxes help, in these hospitals, taxes and stuff, unless they're privatized hospitals, they help support these. Uh, and here again, these are things that we use these taxes for. Linda says this, like, hey, you have to pay something to get something. And so why? I mean, you look at some of the billionaires, some of these things could be some of the things that we have, and who am I to tell them what to do with their money? But they are donating, a lot of them have made these pacts to donate all of their money before they pass away. Um, there's some things that they could fix in this country overnight. Overnight. So it would be nice if a couple of them got together and said, look, let's this hunger thing or education thing or this lack of services thing, um, let's just fix that tomorrow. I'm gonna write your check, we're gonna fix it tomorrow, and we can move on, right? um, those are the kind of things that we need. Those are the kind of heartfelt givings that would be monumental. But of course, it's their money, and they've earned it, and they can do with it what they want. But I'm just saying, to those that have decided to donate, you know, those would be some good things to donate to, um, to keep these things in line, and moving forward would be a great opportunity for the country to get beyond some tough times. I mean, you know, uh, COVID is now about 3 years behind us. It caused its uproar, and now we're leading into the economic uproar and trying to navigate these waters that have been pretty rough for a long time. And so, what I would say, there's a principle of correspondence that's taught in that, you know, uh, Einstein said it like this: for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction, right? And so, that's the law of correspondence, that these things correspond. And so, as we begin to move beyond these conditions, and we talk about these conditions not so that you wallow in them, but so you recognize that they're there, and you find a correspondence on the opposite side that balances it out, or moves it to a higher level. We know that there's a corresponding idea, there's a corresponding mental attitude that allows these things to be resolved, to be handled with ease and grace. And so, for those of us who are seeking to provide energy and thought and action to making a world that works for all, let's begin to look at these things and come up with some solutions, to come up with some conversations, come up with some changes in our own personal lives of how we handle situations as such, so that we can begin to be the first pebble, or the second pebble, if you will, in the momentum for change, in the momentum to uplift our people, to uplift our society, to handle the resources that we've been blessed with, in a better way, in a different light, so that we can begin to live a life that is really connected, that is really heartfelt and caring for everyone. I mean, we think about the homeless. Every city in America now, small cities, all of them are dealing with homeless. And according to the Real Estate Association, there are enough houses or enough opportunities to put most of these people, if not all of them, in houses, in some kind of housing. Now, we know some of it is mental illness, and so again, back to the beginning, we need to get that done. But these are the things that we need to begin to put a correspondence on, to focus on, and to uplift beyond them. And so, my closing thought for today would be: how do we begin to create a idea or action that we get a correspondence that raises it higher, that allows us to move in a way that God says yes, in the upliftment of mankind and this planet. And so that's what I'll leave you with today. Have a wonderful weekend, and Reverend BRZ should be back next week, and we'll see you again, and we hope you join us. And until then, peace and blessing.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.